The last shadow in your room isn't yours. Don't turn around. Thus, introduction. The night is quiet. Too quiet. You're lying in bed, scrolling through your phone, the blue glow casting long shifting shadows across your walls. You've checked the locks twice, turned off the lights, and settled in. Just another ordinary night. But then, you feel it. A presence. A weight in the air, pressing down on your chest like an unseen hand. You tell yourself it's nothing. Just your imagination. Then you see it. A shadow. Darker than the rest. It stands in the corner of your room, tall and still. You freeze. Because you're alone. And yet, the shadow moves. Just slightly. Just enough to make your breath hitch. You want to turn around. To look behind you, to prove to yourself there's nothing there. But something deep in your gut whispers, don't. Because the last shadow in your room isn't yours. Body. Part 1. The first night. Emma never believed in ghosts. At 32, she was a practical woman, a single mother raising her 6-year-old son, Jake, in a small, weathered house on the edge of town. The place was old, sure, but affordable. And after the divorce, it was all she could manage. The first night they moved in, Jake stood in the doorway of his new bedroom, his small fingers gripping the frame. "Mom," he said, voice small, "there's a man in my room." Emma's blood ran cold. She rushed inside, flicking on the light, scanning every corner. The room was empty. Just boxes, a half-made bed, and the faint scent of dust. "Sweetie, there's no one here," she said, forcing a smile. Jake didn't smile back. He pointed to the far wall. "He's standing right there." Emma followed his gaze. Nothing. Just the faintest outline of a shadow stretching from the dresser. She knelt beside him. "It's just a shadow, baby, from the streetlight outside." Jake shook his head. "Number, he's tall, and he's smiling." That night, Emma slept with her son in her own bed. Part 2. The Whisper in the Dark. Days passed. Jake stopped talking about the man in his room, but Emma noticed the way he hesitated before entering, how he'd dart inside only when the lights were blazing. She chalked it up to an overactive imagination. Kids saw things, didn't they? Then one evening she heard it. She was in the kitchen, washing dishes, the TV murmuring in the background. A sound cut through the noise, a whisper so soft it could have been the wind. Except the windows were closed. Emma. Her hands stilled. The water ran, steaming hot, but her skin prickled with cold. She turned off the faucet. Silence. Probably just the house settling. Old houses creaked. Then, from down the hall, Jake's voice. "Mom? Who are you talking to?" Emma's breath caught. I wasn't talking, honey." Jake frowned. "Yes, you were. You said my name." She hadn't. That night she checked every closet, every corner. Nothing. But as she turned to leave Jake's room, she caught a glimpse of it, a shadow, stretched too long, too wrong, against the wall. And for a second she thought she saw fingers, long, spindly fingers, unfolding from the darkness. Part 3. The Reflection. The nightmare started soon after. Emma would wake gasping, convinced something had been standing over her, watching. Jake began sleepwalking, his small feet padding down the hallway in the dead of night. One time she found him in the living room, staring at the blank TV screen. "Jake?" she called softly. He didn't turn, just kept staring. Then, in a voice that wasn't quite his, he whispered, "She can't see me yet." Emma's heart stopped. She grabbed him, spinning him around. His eyes were glassy, unfocused. "Jake, wake up!" He blinked, then burst into tears. "Mom?" "What's happening?" She held him tight, her pulse hammering. Over his shoulder, in the black reflection of the TV, she saw it, a figure standing just behind them. Tall, smiling. She whirled around. Nothing. But the shadow on the wall didn't move with her. Part 4. Don't Turn Around. The final straw came on a Thursday. Emma was tucking Jake into bed when he grabbed her wrist, his grip surprisingly strong. "Mom," he said, deadly serious, "don't turn around." Her breath hitched. "Why?" Jake's eyes flickered past her, to the corner of the room. "Because he's right behind you." Emma's blood turned to ice. She could feel it now, the cold, the weight, the slow, rhythmic sound of breathing that wasn't hers. Her reflection in the mirror across the room showed only her, but the shadow on the wall had two heads. Conclusion. Emma didn't turn around. She grabbed Jake and ran. They left the house that night, never looking back. The realtor later told her the previous owner had died there, a man who'd been obsessed with mirrors. Don't turn around. Disturbing true parenting horror stories. There's a moment between sleep and wakefulness when the world feels wrong, like something is watching, but your brain hasn't caught up yet. That's when it begins. That's when the last shadow in your child's room starts to shift, just slightly. Not enough to be sure, but enough to make your stomach turn. Parents brush it off as exhaustion, as tricks of the light. But they don't realize it's not their child who's being watched. It's them. 3 months ago, Claire Anders moved into a quiet cul-de-sac with her 6-year-old son, Owen. Fresh start, she told herself. Divorce papers signed, old house sold, time to rebuild. The new home was charming in that faded, vintage kind of way. Crown molding, creaky floors, windows that looked out onto swaying trees. The perfect place for a new beginning. But Owen wouldn't sleep through the night. "He's in the corner again, Mommy." Claire froze the first time he said it. Just a whisper at 3:47 a.m., when she found him hiding beneath the blanket, trembling. "Who's in the corner, baby?" she asked, her heart already racing. The tall man, the one who doesn't blink. She checked the room, of course. Nothing but stuffed animals, toy boxes, and shadows cast from the hall light. She kissed him on the forehead and soothed him back to sleep. Kids have nightmares. It's normal, she told herself. But that night, when she went to turn off the light, she noticed something. A long shadow stretched across the far wall, longer than it should have been. It didn't match anything in the room, and it didn't vanish when she moved. The next morning, Owen had bruises, small ones, scattered across his arms and legs. "I fell," he said. The tall man pushes. Claire demanded answers. Doctors, child psychologists, even a priest her mother recommended. They all gave her the same response: stress, anxiety, trauma from the divorce. But Owen insisted. Every night the shadow returned, and it stood closer. Claire set up a baby monitor, just to prove it was all in her head. But the footage was wrong. At exactly 3:47 a.m., Owen sat up, his eyes wide open. He whispered something, inaudible through the static, and then he turned to face the corner. Slowly, as if something had called him, then the camera glitched. Just a flicker. But when the image returned, Owen was lying flat again. The covers untouched. The clock read 3:48. Claire didn't sleep that night. She stayed by his door, listening. And at 3:47 a.m., she saw it. A silhouette shifting in the crack between the door and the floor. It moved without sound, stretching unnaturally tall. Her breath caught. She wanted to run, but she couldn't move, because something cold and invisible whispered through her hair,